Hi Rio Grande third graders. It's time to go over your math solutions for our DMA. So if you would look at your week 2, day 3 of your DMA, we'll get started. Sorry I'm running a little late today on getting solutions, but we had some issues with the computer. So hopefully things are going to get back to normal. So let's get started on completing the table for the first problem. So we have a rule here within our table, and they're asking us, this is called an input-output table. And so for whatever that input is, we're going to do what it's asking us to here as the rule for the output. So they've given us an example. The first example shows us that we are going to take 1 and add 4, and the output is going to be 5. So we're looking at patterns here in tables. 3 would be the input. If we add 4 to this, we're going to add 4. That would give us 7. Now, we're not looking at the pattern here going down. We're looking at input to output patterns. So again, we're not looking at the pattern going down. We're looking at what's happening from the input to the output. So we look at 8, and we're going to add 4. So 8 and 2 is 10, plus 2 more is 12. And then we're going to add 4 to 16. I know that 4 and 6 is a 10. So when I add 10 more from the 16, I get 20. Okay. So now let's take a look at our subtraction equation. We have our subtraction equation, and it's starting with 85, which is our total. And from that 85, we're taking 31 from the 85. So we have a couple of different strategies that we can use. The break apart strategy, which would mean that we're going to break it apart by place value. We could start with 80 minus 30. That is going to give us 50. And then we have 5 minus 1. And that will give us 4. And together that makes 54. Now this strategy we use in 3rd grade because we want the students to understand place value of 1s and 10s and hundreds. And so using mental math strategies are very important for students to start with, and then we move to the up and down algorithm. So another strategy that we can do, a mental strategy, is we start with the total. We subtract the 10s, or we could subtract the 1s if we wanted, but I think it's easy to subtract the 10s first. So we would subtract 30 from the 85. And we subtract 3 10s from the 80, so that would give us 50. And we'd still have the 5 because we're not subtracting the 1s yet. Then we would take 55 and subtract 1 more from this 31. So we're subtracting that 1. And of course that would give us 54, making sure that your differences are the same. That's what we call the answer to a subtraction equation. So 2 possibilities that you have there in order to subtract using some mental strategies. We'll go to our addition sentence here. So our addition sentence, we actually have 3 add-ins that we're trying to find the sum of. So we know that 90, we can kind of get an idea that 90 and 20 and 10, it's going to be close to a little over 100 if we're using a reasonable estimate. So 20 and 10 is 30. So we can get an idea that this is going to be about 130, give or take. So 90 plus 20 plus 10, 90 and 10 makes 100, plus the 20 makes 120. I can add the 1s, which is 8, 1, and 3. So 8 and 1 is 9. 9 and 3 is going to be 12. So now I add the 120 plus 12. 120 plus 10 is 130, plus 2 more is 132. So my sum is 132. Now, another strategy that I could use, and I want to use this just to kind of help us with the idea of using the compensation method, or friendly numbers, as we might call it in 3rd grade, but they'll hear it as 4th grade terminology as the compensation or compatible numbers. So if I wanted to make this an easy number to work with, I could add 2 to this 28. So I could have 91, and I could take 2 from that 13 and add it to the 28 to make 30, and then that would have 11 here. So 90 and 10 is 100, and then add the 30 would make 130, and then I could add the 1 and the 1, and that would make 2, and then I add those together, and there's your 132 as your sum. So remember, numbers are flexible, students. They're easy to take apart and use within reason. They're easy to take apart and be able to use some strategies by taking them apart and regrouping them in different ways. So let's take a look at our word problem. And remember, we're going to use our KFA strategy. So we are going to read through the word problem first, and then we're going to think about what information is important. So it says, the zookeeper gave 2 bags of peanuts to an elephant. There were 12 peanuts in each bag. How many peanuts did the zookeeper give to the elephant? So we have 2 bags of peanuts that were given to the elephant. In each bag, there were 12 peanuts. That's important information. Now, what are we trying to find? Well, let's circle our question. Our question asks us, how many peanuts did the zookeeper give to the elephant? So we want to know the number of peanuts that were given to the elephant. So we need to take this question and make it into an answer statement. So to do that, I'm going to pull up my piece of paper, and we're going to take the question and restate it as a statement. So we want to know how many peanuts. So we would say the zookeeper, and you can also do this on the back of your page. There's a day 3 area where you can write this. The zookeeper gave the elephant. And this just helps students understand what they're answering for. So the zookeeper gave the elephant blank peanuts. So we know that we're going to be looking to find and solve for the number of peanuts. And then we are going to answer and show or tell how we solve to find that. So if I wanted to, I could draw a bar diagram. And a bar diagram basically just gives us a visual of what the word problem is asking us for. So I could say this is bag 1. This gives another visual. This is bag 2 for the elephants. Inside we have the peanuts, and I'm just going to hyphen or abbreviate. That way I don't have to put the whole word in there, but it's just giving us more of a visual to guide us in our thinking. So now I want to know how many peanuts the elephant ate. So if I think about 12 and 12, 10 and 10 is 20, 2 and 2 makes 4. So I have my 20 and my 4, which is 24. 24 peanuts. Now, another way to think about this, and we'll get to this a little later on, but this is multiplication as well. So if I have 2 groups or 2 bags, I have 2 groups of 12. And when I write a multiplication sentence for this, I would say I have 2 groups of 12. And just like here, I've got 2 groups of 10 and 2 groups of 2. So 2 groups of 10 is 20, and 2 groups of 2 is 4. So when I go to solve using multiplication, I'm using the same idea of groups, equal groups. Make sure we say equal groups. So now I can choose one of these strategies and come up here and talk about how I solved it. So the zookeeper gave the elephants 24 peanuts because if I add the 12 peanuts from bag 1 and 12, and I'm going to put a P here, from bag 2, that is 24 total peanuts. So we found the sum, or if we're using multiplication, we call it the product, but we found the total number of peanuts that were given to the elephant by the zookeeper. So hope to see you tomorrow. Well, I guess we would be hoping that you would come and look at your solutions for day 4 tomorrow, which will be Thursday. I hope you have a great evening, and we'll talk to you and hopefully hear from you tomorrow.